Hello everyone, it's your girl Julia here. Wow, this was a big month actually. I was able to get a lot of stuff done. Now, I guess let's just start at the beginning. So I've been back and forth with my lawyer a few times, getting an idea of where the name changes and how it's being taken care of. I've been taking it as a habit that once a month I would kind of check in since they said 30 to 90 days, and it's been about 97. So I figured I'd ask again. And to my great pleasure, my name change has been granted. My name is legally Julia. And it still makes me happy to say that. Although it's kind of causing a few problems along the way as well. So after realizing that my name is now legally Julia, I now had to update all my IDs. The first one I wanted to start with was my driver's license. This turned into one of those catch-22 moments. So for those of you that haven't read the book, here's the basics of what a catch-22 is. So the book takes place in World War II, specifically in the United States Air Force. There you will find a rule in place that anybody that declares that they are insane can be sent home. However, here's what Catch-22 is. If you're sane enough to realize that you're insane, then clearly you are not insane. Very similar thing with my driver's license. So I've been meaning to update it for a while to get the correct address as well as the correct name on it. However, in order for me to get the name corrected, I first had to have the correct address. But the only problem is I couldn't fill out the address form because my name is now legally Julia, and that is not the name that's on the driver's license. So it was just a lot of back and forth with online work, and I said, you know what, I gotta do this in person. So luckily I was able to do so. The DMV that is local to my area was actually open for customers. However, I feel like everybody knows the DMV. It's just hours of lines and paperwork and every other thing you can think of. The first challenge was finding a parking spot. I was kind of worried I ruined the suspension on my car because I drove onto the curb a little bit. And on top of that, it was only 2-hour parking, and while things were starting to finish up, it was very obvious I was going to be there for a while. It was about 3.5 hours by the time everything was all taken care of. I will definitely say, though, it went a lot better than I expected. I remember going right up to the information booth, and I'm just like, I need to change my name, my address, and my gender. Okay. Here's the doctor's notice, here's my legal name change, here's my change of address forms, and then like everything. And they're just like, alright, let me take a look at this. I felt like I was in pretty good hands as the woman that was taking care of me had just about as much 5 o'clock shadow as I did at that point. So it just kind of felt like there was kind of a understanding there. In fact, the person was even talking to me a little bit, basically saying, oh yeah, we got a few relatives in our family changing their names and gender. And then they spouted out this kind of small story about their brother-in-law also being transgender, but they were also a horrible person, so we kind of talked about that very briefly. There was a lot of back and forth, and I wish I kind of had something better to prove that I live in the house I do, because that was the main point of contention. However, it was actually a good thing I had to update my license anyway, because in addition to having the correct name and address, I also got an enhanced license, which I'm not sure if this is something that other states are doing, but apparently you need an enhanced license to board an airplane now. Probably the two other fun things to note of that. So while I was just kind of waiting in line to be called up, I just kind of feel like I'm at the supermarket. It's just like, now serving number C5B8. Here, I need 10 pounds of salami. Anyway, while I was waiting there, I saw a very interesting person in line. So the book I'm reading right now is called The Fountainhead. In it, there is a character that's described with a very odd shade of hair color. A mixture between blonde and red. The best way the author is able to describe it is if you were to open up an orange, the inside of that is the color. And there was a person there that had that same exact color, and I'm just like, is that Howard Rourke? And then the other thing, that was actually a pretty hefty day looking back at it. So it started with a blood test, actually. Every 3 months I get a blood test. This one was very different, though. So while I was one of the first ones there, I was probably the 5th person in line. So ordinarily I get my blood drawn a little after 8 o'clock. This one was about 8:30, 8:45 I had the blood drawn. And I haven't had anything to eat since about 5:30 today. So it seemed like the blood test was going alright. They were able to get the vein alright. I was getting a little lightheaded, so I took a few swigs of grape juice. And I'm just kind of like, oh wow, this is getting worse, isn't it? And then they were just kind of like, here, you better lie down real quickly. And I'm just kind of like, I am so sorry. This has never happened before. Huh. Everything's getting kind of fuzzy now. The whole time I kind of had my eyes closed because it seemed like having my eyes open just kind of made me feel a little more dizzy. And then by the end of it, I was just sweating profusely. And the whole time I'm just kind of like, this has never happened to me before. I'm so sorry about this. And then I think the grape juice or the breakfast I had started to work its magic, because after that, the lightheadedness started to go away, and I was just kind of like, yeah, there we go, I feel a lot more stable. And the doctors that were taking my blood were just kind of like, yeah, you're looking a lot better. I mean, all color just kind of ran out of your face, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't think it was that bad. So, kind of recovering from that, I didn't necessarily feel right the whole day. Right after the blood test, I then go to the bank to change my account information to reflect the name change. And the person at the bank office, they were just kind of like, so, how's your morning so far? I'm just kind of like, well, I almost passed out after a blood test. And they're just like, yeah, I do that all the time. I have to have something to eat. And then after that was the driver's license. Surprisingly, that night, I was actually able to get the results of the blood test. Even the doctor I was with was pretty shocked at this. Usually it takes at least a week or something. Well, I'm very pleased with these results. I would give you the numbers, but I'm not really sure if that would make any sense to you. But rest assured, I am chemically a woman. I have the right estrogen levels, and I have the testosterone levels of a person that was born female. I was also kind of looking at the other levels as well, just to get an idea of why I almost passed out. And one of the things I found was that my blood sugar was very low, which that probably explains a lot. So after telling the doctor about nearly passing out, she said, oh yeah, you don't need the fast anymore. In fact, I encourage you to eat right before getting blood drawn. Okay, well, my levels are at a good spot. I will admit, I just kind of felt like I wasn't seeing the progress I wanted to, like, specifically around this area. Like, I've been feeling pain there since about 3 weeks in. And only very recently have they started to stay sticking out on their own. It's the weirdest thing. Like, before that, it would all depend on what time of day is. Sometimes I would see very good progress. I was out. It would look like I would actually need a bra. And then other times I was flat again. I have been seeing some results there, but all in all, I asked the doctor if I could have an increase in my estrogen count, and we both agreed to it. And well, maybe it's a bit of a placebo effect, or maybe this higher estrogen is actually working, but I feel like my chest is starting to develop a lot more. In an odd way, I'm kind of happy that it hurts to run around. All the all the bouncing around is kind of painful now. And you'd be surprised how gender affirming that is. The other things people have talked about is the idea of being on an emotional roller coaster and changing your hormone levels. Well, this is something I've heard of, but I'm not really sure if I've experienced it. I mean, I don't really bawl my eyes out. I mean, if I don't really get a whole lot of sleep, maybe I'll start to get a little moist-eyed every so often, or if I hear like a really beautiful piece of music or see something relatively emotional, I'll maybe get a little moist, but I guess I'm just an emotionally strong person, or I don't know, maybe 6 milligrams of estrogen isn't that big of a dose. I mean, I've heard some that were on 8, and apparently that hit like a freight train, but even then, I have a hard time believing an extra 2 is going to do that much to me. But not really anything too crazy there on the emotional side. With the name change, I also had to tell work about it. Now, all my closest coworkers already knew about this. I had it out with them, and I just plain said, I'm transgender. My name is Julia now. And if you forget this, that's perfectly fine. Let's just focus on getting the name right for now, and we'll focus on the pronouns later. However, I had to tell the big boss of the company, and that was a little intense. I think I may have mentioned that interaction in other videos, but it was a bit surprising. So I asked to meet with the big boss. I sat down and I said, I'm transgender. And he said, that's it. And I'm like, wasn't this kind of a big revelation for you? Don't you have like a million questions or stuff like that? No, I thought you were quitting. It's going to take a lot more than that for me to quit. And so I've been back and forth with the big boss a few times about trying to figure out how to tell the entire building as well as other departments about my name change without having it seem so completely shocking or disturbing that nobody wants to talk to me anymore. So I figured I would try a little bit of a memo, basically saying, my name is Julia now, and I prefer you use he, her pronouns. If you mess up, I don't care. As long as you try, that's all I'm asking. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. However, one thing I've started to notice is while I give people the opportunity to ask questions, people are just afraid of this. They're worried about offending me. They're worried about being politically correct. So in order to get this memo out, the boss wanted the official court order of the name change, which at that point should have been given to me about a month ago, but whatever. I think there was a famous phrase out there. The reason for time is that so not everything happens at once. And I feel like that was one of those moments as well. I got the court order in place. However, getting a memo together would prove at least another few weeks after that. Big Boss was very afraid. I'm the very first person ever come out as transgender at the company, and he wanted to make sure he talked to all his lawyers to make sure of what he could do and what he couldn't do. And so a few days ago, I know this is technically this month, but it's still part of the story, I think. A few days ago, I was actually called down to the office to take a look over the memo, to found that it was very thorough. It even gave a brief explanation as to what being transgender means. And while I'm very happy that everybody knows, I feel like everybody around the office is a little colder almost. I mean, sure, they would call me by my wrong name, and they'd just be like, hey, old name, and they'd just be like, hey, it's you, and all that kind of stuff. Now they're just kind of like, hi. I'm not gonna bite you. I don't want to get you fired. I have much better things to do with my time. I've still got thousands of units to work on right now. But at the same time, though, I'd say this has helped out immensely. I don't have to worry about the secret leaking out anymore. Everybody knows. And so I can just go on being me. And in a ways, I feel like the memo has kind of scared people a little bit. like I mentioned to a few people that I need to change the name on my email address, as well as for the little ID I wear. And then all of a sudden, everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, we'll get it to you by like next week. We'll take care of this." And I'm just kind of like, "Really?" I kind of figured it would be at least a few weeks before you change the email, and it would probably be until the end of the month by the time you get a new name tag in place. But this memo has kind of rocked people, so getting my name changed and everybody calling me by my name, I think it's working out pretty well. But at the same time, I have noticed a lot of people are just kind of like, "Hey, it's Julia. If you call me by the old name, okay, I'm not going to be offended by it." I mean, I know the company has a zero tolerance policy, but I have a 100 tolerance policy. So you can keep getting it wrong as long as you like, just as long as you try. That's really all I'm asking for. Last month being Pride Month, I was pounding out a lot of videos about being transgender, a lot of other fun things, reaction videos, stuff like that. And so, just for fun, I'm just kind of like, let's maybe put on a little lipstick, doll myself up a little bit. It was one of the videos I put lipstick on. Everyone was just kind of like, "Wow, are you wearing makeup now? You look great." I wonder if maybe the hormones are affecting my face, because all I'm doing is just putting on lipstick and everyone's just like, "Wow, you look really good with makeup." And you'd be surprised how gender affirming that is. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to wear the lipstick now. It makes me feel pretty, and I like the compliments. And then one of the other really big things for me, during the summertime, we go out to all the customers we service and just make sure that all the equipment is running properly. These are very hot and have very little. These buildings are very hot, and only about 3 or 4 rooms out of them have air conditioning. So it is very much encouraged for us to wear shorts. I built up my bravery, and I wore girls' shorts to work. I don't think anybody noticed. I mean, in all honesty, knowing how hot those schools got, I'd be perfectly fine with wearing a short skirt or booty shorts, but I have a feeling that would really make other people uncomfortable. So I just figure I stick with the halfway shorter shorts, nice pink shorts, nice brown shorts. I got a few girl shorts. And there was even one time in one of the places I built up the confidence to use the women's room. So there's 2 things to mention about getting my name taken care of. So immediately after I got the name change approved by my lawyer, she then gave me the steps so that I can correct my birth certificate. So I had that sent right away, and they said it takes about 8 to 10 weeks, but I'm in no particular hurry for it. Knowing that my birth certificate is going to say, Julia, born female. Sorry, I was just feeling a little euphoria there. And then the other big thing is, after getting my driver's license taken care of, is that I could finally update my passport. Which, ironically, this was what kind of started the whole thing in the first place. My passport was about to expire, and I was thinking, I probably better get the name and gender corrected on that. And so, I did. I'm just waiting for the next one to come in the mail. I don't really do a whole lot of traveling, but I find when multiple forms of ID are needed, all you just have to do is come up with that passport. It's just like, oh, that's perfectly fine, that'll do. I was also able to get my social security card updated. There was a little bit of back and forth with that one. So at first I just gave them the name change order, and then about a week or 2 later I got a message in the mail saying, we need more to go on. So I gave them everything. I gave him my old social security card. I gave him my passport. I gave him my license. I gave them my doctor's notice. I gave them my name change documentation. And then after that, I officially had my name changed on my social security card. So as far as the state and the government is concerned, I am Julia. and this makes me really happy. Okay, I'm feeling a little moist-eyed there, I will admit, but it's just kind of something I've been fighting for a while, and it's great to finally see some progress. And then I think I'll just kind of end the video with this. After this memo saying that I was transgender at the office, I just became really confident in myself. In fact, on Saturday, I went to the local Salvation Army and started shopping for girl clothes. And I didn't have the mask on, which I thought that was going to scare me for sure. It's just like, I don't know, I mean, from here, people might think I look like a woman, but from here, it's going to be a lot more obvious. And I will admit, even when I had the mask on, I would just kind of come up there with the clothes I bought and be like, okay. And this time, I just have a lot of self-confidence now. I went around. In fact, I bought this dress on that Saturday. And I will admit, I really like this dress. I think I should get more in the dresses. I mean, it's nice. I don't have to put on shirt or pants. This is the whole thing. Just underwear and then whoop, there we go. I'm fully dressed. But even when I was buying, shop clerks knew I would come in there very often. And they were even talking to me. And I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, it's a beautiful day outside, isn't it? What's going on over there? And even as I was cashing out, I was just kind of like, I might have some change for you. Let me take a look. I'm a lot more confident in myself now. And this is great. Even around the office, I find myself walking with really good posture. I'm proud of myself, and well, this not only proves to me that I'm transgender, but this transition is working. I'm proud of myself now. Not to say I wasn't proud of myself before. I mean, I would have achievements here and there where I'm just like, yes, I'm proud of this, but just pride to be who I am. That's just not really something I had as much. It's not that I necessarily hated who I was. It was just kind of like, oh, you again. And now it's more like, hello, beautiful. I wish you could get a better shave, though. I wish I could get the voice right, but other than that, I'm happy. I like this. I never knew that I could be this happy. I mean, I will admit, I've had times where I'm very happy to play a game or watch a new movie or something like that, but to be able to experience that just from something so simple as looking at myself in the mirror, I never thought I could live life like this. And that is fantastic. Like I said at the beginning, I knew this was going to be a long one. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm an open book. And I can say right now, there is very little you can say that can offend me. So, until next time, be yourself, no matter who that is.